My baloney has a first name, it's Cosmere. My baloney has a second name, it's Chronicles. Oh, I love to eat it every day, and if you ask me why, I'll say that I love listening to Cosmere Chronicles, the podcast where we follow two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, and chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling Mistborn, The Final Empire, chapters 16 through 18. And now, let's throw it over to the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe! Thank you, Joe. Yep, and once again, we are here for Cosmere Chronicles. I am Joe, and I am joined by Justin and Sheta. How are the two of you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Okay, that sounds exciting.
Oh,
really
it isn't.
We're really into it.
Hey, you had to start the energy that way, Joe.
Yeah. You come up with some heavy energy, we'll follow.
No. Okay.
How are you doing tonight? Then we'll be like, woo!
I can't hear you.
Yep. I also may quit the podcast, if that's how it goes.
No. All right. Well, next week's podcast episode will be our karaoke episode.
Oh, God, no. Sheta's like, yeah, sounds good to me.
Ready.
But you can only do karaoke in songs that are not in English.
That's going to be trouble.
Just do like the French version of Be Our Guest.
Yeah, that'll be easy.
That'll be easy. I know some Spanish songs from Spanish class.
Don't you speak an entirely second language?
But I don't really know any songs off the top of my head.
That's what the karaoke's for. It will let you know. All right, that's enough of that. Let's just get to, once again, just diving into your own personal thoughts on things. You know, last week we talked a little bit of our favorite Marvel heroes, so we'll go on to the other side. So give me your top 3 Marvel villains.
Marvel villains. Thanos, Juggernaut, Doctor Doom. Which I revealed 2 of last week. And I need to add an amendment from weeks ago for anyone who was worried. My third favorite DC villain actually was not Black Hand. It was the Anti-Monitor. I'm glad I finally corrected that. Now we can move on.
Okay. I can't really think of any Marvel villains I really, really like. I know I always have a soft spot for Shocker. And
she does, weirdly.
Oh, help me out.
You know, all the classic best villain ever Marvel villains.
I love Magneto as well. Magneto I always love.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, no.
Any of the 50 Spider-Man villains, Sheta?
I didn't want to pick another Spider-Man villain.
Or Thanos? Don't you like him?
I do, but not my favorite. You know what? I'm just going to go with Green Goblin. Because
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Which Green Goblin?
Norman.
Okay. There's only 2 acceptable answers. It's either Norman or Harry. Those are the only acceptable Green Goblin answers. Well, I guess I'll go into mine. My number 1 would be Baron Zemo. Ever since I read Thunderbolts, I just loved Baron Zemo. Number 2 would probably be the Hobgoblin. Original Roderick Kingsley one. Yeah, original Roderick Kingsley, Jason McIndale, or Phil Urich. No, not them. And number 3 Marvel villain, maybe
It was your question.
Oh, you're not prepared.
Well, I
the
guess
third one's always hard because you got to think who you're not allowing on.
Yeah. I guess maybe just go with the Beyonder.
All right. Which version? Secret Wars 1 or Secret Wars 2?
It's the same guy.
Yeah, but which one do you like better?
Secret Wars 1 says 1 sentence. Secret Wars 2 Beyonder had sex with Dazzler.
Are those the criterias? Yeah, Sheta, that's
the
canon.
range. That's the range.
Yeah,
that's the range.
See?
No, I just find that it's the one thing I always find the weirdest. Like Dazzler's character, at one point, she hooked up with the Beyonder.
I thought the Beyonder was like a shadow guy.
Like, in the second one, he's like a guy in a white suit with jerry curls.
Yeah.
Oh.
But no, I will get rid of the Beyonder, and I think I'll throw in the Void.
Mm-hmm. Sheta, I'm sorry. Is Shocker really your number one Marvel villain? I know you like the guy, but that's shocking to hear.
Not number one, just top 3. So it's in there. But I'd say I like Magneto more than Shocker. So
okay, so Magneto would be number one, you'd say.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God for that. No offense to Shocker, but
what the heck?
All right, now we'll go to just your favorite team in Marvel.
Well, I know Sheta's.
X-Men to me. Then
you only need one team.
Mine's I team? Forgot. Fantastic Four is my favorite. Obviously, I forgot.
And with mine, I'm going to go with Thunderbolts. Really like the Thunderbolts, which is also why I am so pissed about the upcoming Thunderbolts movie that they're making, because it has 0 Thunderbolts in it.
Sad.
It's like,
what do you mean, Joe? They're all Thunderbolts now.
God, no. Like, when you think about Thunderbolts, the characters think about, Songbird, not in the movie. Oh, Mach, not in the movie. Atlas, not in the movie. Moonstone, not in the movie. Baron Zemo, who has already been featured in other Marvel stuff, so it's already set up for him to be in there, not in the movie.
That's the one that shocked me. I thought for sure he was going to be leading the team, no questions.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was just going to be a shitty Suicide Squad, and he was just going to be leading it. You know, I was shocked when they did not have him.
It's like, but instead we get, okay, granted, I'll say, Ghost is in the movie. Ghost was at one point a Thunderbolt, but it's not one of the iconic characters.
That's not fucking Ghost.
Winter Soldier for 12 issues was part of the Thunderbolt, but it's not an iconic member. Black Widow was part of the Thunderbolts at one point, but it's not an iconic person. You have like those 3, and then they're just throwing in U.S. Agent, Red Guardian for some reason. It's just they're making a Dark Avengers movie and throwing the name Thunderbolts on there.
Yeah.
When you could have had a real interesting concept of having, Thunderbolts, where you just have a bunch of villains pretend to be a hero and trying to gain the public's trust instead of people.
Joe, that would take some work.
Yeah, that would take work.
Instead of just getting people from the scrap pile.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel already makes a whole bunch of these crappy shows. This is something that's already designed to be a show. You make the first episode just featuring all these villains. Then the end of that first episode, you reveal that they are villains. And there's a big twist for the first episode. And then you have the rest of them pretty much just go through the first 12 issues of the comic.
Yeah, things that are like really made like that.
I don't think I know what that word means.
That's what it's based off of.
What?
All right, I think we did. All right, we're done complaining about this. Let's get back to why we're here. And that's Mistborn, the Final Empire.
This book.
So first off, we read 3 more chapters this week. So once again, I'll ask you guys, how'd you enjoy these chapters? How'd you like them?
Is there ever going to be a point where you expect me to be like, I fucking hated these chapters. They ruined the whole book. Because I feel like I answer the same thing every week of, they were good. I enjoyed them. They expanded the plot and characters.
There are some points where, some people do feel like certain books go a little bit too slow and they're not fans of it. So maybe some of the books you'll feel like that.
I'm very, I'm not too judgmental of that kind of thing. But I did get kind of mad when favorite character died in Elantris, so Deloff, of course.
Oh, I was trying to think, who? I was like, who died that was a favorite of yours? I didn't think it was one of the side characters. Deloff.
I was thinking of Wraithen, but then I was like, wait a minute. Deloff also died. I'm sad.
Did you expect Deloff to live?
Yeah. He and, I forget her name now, the main girl, is gonna ride off into the sunset.
Oh,
Serene.
God, no. That was never a theory you were saying.
No,
you are retconning this podcast, Sheta.
Well, now it's time to do our recap of last week's podcast episode and those chapters. Fuck. And it's Justin's turn.
Fuck. All right. I remember she had gotten the hang of the jumping around with the coins and stuff. I think she went to the ball last time. Is that right? Or was that the time before? That was the time before, wasn't it?
No, it happened last week.
Okay. She went to the ball. She met the book guy. Then she convinced Kelsier to let her go to the palace. They got fucked up. We thought she was dead. Then she got rescued by Sazed, and Kelsier felt guilty, and they found a book. And that missed no major plot points.
Yeah, I'd say, to be honest, that's pretty accurate.
Sweet.
Because the ball was mostly just an introduction to stuff. So, you couldn't remember Elend's name, but...
Book guy, I'm good.
Okay. Well,
Venture, that was the last name. I do remember that.
Yeah, she's going to be... Yep, this next chapter, she's going to have to fight Brock Sampson.
She's going to lose.
She has Mistborn powers.
Yeah. Have you seen the kinds of shit Brock fights?
So funny. Vin goes into the Venture compound.
Whole Avengers. Yeah, I was saying.
Okay. Well, let's get right into our recap of this week. So this week we are starting part 3 of The Final Empire, called Children of a Bleeding Sun. So first will be the epigraph. Many think that my journey started in Klenium, that great city of wonder. They forget that I was no king when my quest began. Far from it. I think it would do well to remember that this task was not begun by emperors, priests, prophets, or generals. It didn't start in Klenium or Cordell, nor did it come from the great nations to the east or the fiery empire of the west. It began in a small, unimportant town whose name would mean nothing to you. It began with a youth, the son of a blacksmith, who was unremarkable in every way, except, perhaps, in his ability to get into trouble. It began with me.
I feel 100% confident about who that me is at this point.
I have a little doubt now.
Do you?
Or I have a little theory for me in my head.
Even with what was found?
Yeah. I know. I think I know who it is, but then I am having a theory as to who he is at the same time.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Old man Jenkins.
So go. What are these theories?
I don't want to share them yet. I'll sound like a fool.
You have to. That's what the podcast is for. To listen to us sound like idiots.
Or is it something that you want to get into after the other epigraphs?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. All right. Well, so we'll move on. So chapter begins with Vin wakes up in horrible pain. Lestibornis is sitting in a chair by her bed. She calls him by his name, but he says that Kelsier has given him a new name, Spook. Then he tells her that she has been out for 2 weeks and leaves to go tell the others. Doxson comes into the room and asks Vin how much she remembers. She says that she remembers all of it and worries that Kelsier is dead. Dox reassures her that Kelsier is alive. The Inquisitors didn't seem focused on killing him. They sent 1 after him and 2 after her. Vin says that Sazed saved her and asks Dox what is he. Dox says that is best for Sazed to answer. Sazed's currently back in Felice right now. Breeze and Kelsier are out recruiting, and Ham left to inspect their army and won't be back for at least another month. Dox tells Vin to drink some water and there's something in it to help with the pain. So Vin drinks it and goes back to sleep. When Vin wakes back up, Kelsier's there. Vin asks about the job and Kelsier says that the army is growing and Renew has begun to purchase weapons and supplies. Vin's suggestion about the ministry turned out to be a good one, and they've nearly negotiated a deal with Theron's contact to get Marsh into the ministry.
I like how you can use her being unconscious for 2 weeks to move a bit of plot stuff around instead of just saying 2 weeks later.
Yeah, sure. These are good acts in a play. Yes. Oh, yes. Time has passed because, it's good.
And then Vin notices that there's something different about how Kelsier was acting. Kelsier apologizes to Vin. He nearly got her killed. She tries to tell him that she forced him to, but he says that she shouldn't have been able to make him. Vin accepts his apology and asks what she needs to do now. Kelsier says that as soon as she's up to it, she will move back to Felice. They made a cover story for Valette that she has taken ill, but rumors are starting to appear. The sooner she can be seen in the flesh, the better. And then before Kelsier leaves, Vin asks, "We're not invincible, are we?" And Kelsier answers, "No, Vin, we're far from it."
I would imagine all these new powers would be so intoxicating you might just trick yourself into thinking that. So I think it's funny to almost immediately have them get so fucked up by these guys to show that they're really not that much stronger than they ever were.
Yeah, that was the first mission, like real mission too.
Yeah, pretty much.
They've just been like kind of playing around and playing at vigilante and stuff, but they haven't really actually fought anyone.
All right, then 3 days later, Vin is taking a carriage back to Felice. The cover story is that she took a trip in the carriage to Luthadel and back. Vin thinks about how when she was in a thieving crew, she never would have been able to rest and heal like she did here. She would have been left for dead. It didn't matter to Kelsier or the other crew members that she drained their resources and healed. They hadn't exploited her, but instead cared for her, each spending time at her bedside. The one who spent the most time was Spook. And then Vin could hear...
Cute. I'm so happy to hear that.
And then Vin can hear Reen's voice whispering in her head that they're fools and the entire plan will end in disaster. Her death will be her own fault for not leaving when she could. And Vin thinks about how Kelsier managed to survive the fight with barely a scratch. He is much stronger than her, so she needs to grow in strength as well until she could escape the Inquisitors like Kelsier. When Vin arrives at Mansion Renew, Lord Renew came out to meet her. She's surprised and wonders if he ever breaks character. And he even asks if she wants to go into the city to go shopping, maybe get some new earrings, but she says no, she likes the one from her mother. And then she asks to see Sazed, and he tells her that Sazed's in the library. So Vin goes up into the library, and she sees Sazed wearing glasses and studying a book. She finds this curious because she has never seen Sazed wear glasses while reading before. Vin tells Sazed that he is an Allomancer, and Sazed questions why she thinks this. After some back and forth, Sazed finally convinces her that he's not an Allomancer. Vin then asks him what exactly is a keeper, and Sazed says that's a far more clever question. He says that keepers are storehouses, and they remember things so they can be used in the future. Religion is his specialty. Vin asks if he remembers other things, and Sazed said he does, like languages, for instance. That's when Vin notices and recognizes the book he was studying. It was the book she had grabbed in the palace. Sazed says that it's written in a very old language called Clenny, which hasn't been spoken in nearly a millennium. Vin asks how many languages he knows, and Sazed says he knows 172 of them, but most are no longer spoken. The language people speak now is actually a distant dialect of Terrace. Vin says that many languages is too much for one man to remember. Sazed says not one man, but one keeper. What he does is similar to allomancy, but not the same. Vin draws power from metals, but Sazed uses them to create memories. Vin asks how, but Sazed says another time. His kind prefer to maintain their secrets. The Lord Ruler hunts them with remarkable, confusing passion. They are far less threatening than a Mistborn, yet he ignores Allomancers and seeks them out, hating the Terrace people because of this.
Interesting, the part where she's, and she keeps asking, is he an Allomancer? And she's all incredulous at what he's saying, and he kind of laughs at her like, oh, you learn one thing and you think you know everything in the world now?
I was going to say, you learn about one thing you'd never heard was even a possibility before, and you don't really consider that there's probably more things you don't know, you never knew.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. We think like that a lot.
Yeah. And I expected, for the simplicity of the book, that this would be the only real thing. It's interesting to have, this book or this world isn't just one one thing. Got other elements to it, which really makes me wonder about the Lord Ruler and what his deal's going to be. Because I always just assumed, he's just a powerful Allomancer, but God, I have no idea what he's going to wind up being.
He does this a lot, actually, Brandon Sanderson. Where he sets things up and
does it a lot. We've read one book.
All the rules. Yeah. Well, yeah. He sets it up so we're like, okay, here are the rules that I'm setting up, and we're like, okay. And then he breaks them and then really shake us up and stuff.
He doesn't break them.
I wouldn't say break.
Oh, he doesn't. No, he doesn't
adds
break them,
on, right?
Yeah, he doesn't break them. He just not in a bad way. I mean, the whole world is not
right.
Not
Sheta?
Yeah. He adds to him, and then it becomes a new thing. So that's what I mean. Yeah.
Just like more than one magic system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you're saying, last time in Elantris, you had Aeons and Aeon Door that you kept knowing about. Then at the end, you find out about the Dakor monks and whatever Shuden was doing.
Yeah. Moonwalking. Yeah. That's what I imagined it. But yeah, that. And then, so all this stuff with all the metallurgy, or metal stuff. I'm just, okay, this is a metal magic thing. I think that's going to change.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be like an anime where they've only got the one thing in the whole world that everyone does.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So then, Vin, after Sazed says that the Lord Ruler hates the Terrace people, Vin points out the Terrace are treated better than Ska, and they are given positions of respect. Sazed says that in a way the Ska are more free. Most Terrace men are raised from birth to be stewards, and the Lord Ruler's breeding breeders control their reproduction, and no steward is allowed to have a family. All Terraspin stewards are eunuchs. Sazed says that he himself was castrated soon after his birth. Often he would have wished to have traded his life for a common ska. His kind are less than slaves. They are fabricated automatons, created by breeding programs and trained by birth to fulfill the Lord Ruler's wishes.
OJ was a robot.
What? Did you?
Automaton.
Did you say he was a robot? I don't recall
that.
Yeah, you had a whole big discussion last week.
Yeah, I had a whole
bit.
Yeah,
now I remember. Is that bringing out your inner Helldiver, Sheta? The automaton comic?
It is. Yeah, it did.
But he's a eunuch.
Yeah, but
and it's part of a breeding program.
Yeah, program. This is a fantasy equivalent of robot, using words like that. Automaton, breeding program.
Sheta, did that ruin your ship?
No.
But he's a eunuch.
Her ship's still romantic love.
She has like 5 ships.
No, I think her main one.
There's no future there, Sheta.
How can you say that? You can still have romantic.
I didn't make him a eunuch. I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be a eunuch.
So they can't have a family. Well, also there's magic.
It's more than they can't have a family. Oh God, I don't know about that.
The Lord Ruler grew his whole body back.
I guess you're right. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, but last week Sheta was saying like her main ships were, Spook and Elend, but then Vin was going to pick Kelsier over both of them or something like that.
If Kelsier returned the feelings, then it would be the best romance.
Which he wouldn't.
You never know.
They pretty much explicitly say what I think their relationship is just a little bit later in these chapters.
No, I don't want to talk about that yet.
All right, then Vin says that Sazed is a rebel. Vin says that Sazed is a rebel, though, and he says that he is a deviant. Also, his people are not as subjugated as the Lord Ruler believes. They hide keepers under his very eyes. Some of them gather the courage to break their training, but it is no easy task. They are a weak people and are eager to do as they are told and are quick to subjugation.
Yeah, I thought that was so sad because he's like, yeah, even look at me. I win and tried to be of service, like,
yeah, I'm still doing what I was bred and trained to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or he immediately sought that out, I think it was saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then Vin asks Sazed who betrayed Kelsier 3 years ago. Sazed says the facts are unclear, but most of the crew believes it was Mare. She's the only person who could have done it, and the Lord Ruler himself implicated her. Sazed believes that Kelsier's scars from the pits go much deeper than the ones on his arms, and that he likely never knew if she was really a traitor or not. Vin says that Reen said that anyone would betray you if they had the right chance and a good enough motive. Sazed says that even if that were true, he would not want to live believing it. Vin says that Kelsier feels different and believes that is because he is guilty of what happened to her. Sazed says that is likely part of it, but also he is coming to realize there's a difference between running a small crew and organizing a rebellion. He can't take the risks he once did. And that's where chapter 16 ends.
This revealed a lot, and I have a new theory, but I think it might be true, so should I say it still?
100% yes.
The show is not...
was a serial killer,
The show is not only say false things. It's fun when you get them right and when you get them wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I do get them right.
Oh, right. Yeah, always.
I did. I called it in the last book.
So, all right, what's your theory here?
Well, it's kind of obvious, but that Sazed is controlling Lord Renu's or he did something to his memories to make him think he is part of the rebellion. He basically changed his memories so he would be a different person. And it's just the Lord Renu guy. He's not a impersonator or anything.
You see, Sheta, that's not obvious to me, if that is obvious.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so that's
really
his
interesting. Power. Yeah, because he's weird. Something's off about him. He's too believable and stuff. So I was like, that's the only explanation.
There is something weird about him. Did they say he could control other people's memories? I thought he was just saying he could do his own.
Well,
or create
my
his
thing
own.
Is that he he and Kelsier maybe because he said he was a deviant, so he was probably. I imagine he experimented
Not a
with his
deviant like a
powers.
creep, like a deviant like a deviation from the norm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. I'm not
Oh,
saying he's
okay.
a. Yeah, he's
You think
devious.
they did something
I
fucked up to Renew?
I think they played with his. They pushed his abilities as a keeper and tried something experimental with Renew with his memories. That's probably a little fucked up and stuff.
It's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and in this chapter, Lestibornis gets a new name. He now goes by Spook.
I don't like it. I like Lestibornis.
Was Kelsier just sick of saying it?
Yeah, I think like when he first or second time he met Lestibornis, he was like, "Oh, that name's long. We need to come up with a new name for you." But almost everybody on the crew has a nickname.
Yeah.
Kels, Ham, Docs, Breeze, Clubs.
It's just like the one syllable. That's why Vin is perfect already. Oh, I like Lestibornis. I think he's funny. I like that name. It's okay. I'll keep calling him that instead of Spook.
Then I won't know who you're talking about.
All right. Anything else in this chapter you two want to go over?
Mm-hmm. I just wonder what they do to the keepers, to the terracemen, to program them, and what the breeding programs are like. Creepy.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is super creepy. I assume it's the same way you'd train just slaves in real life. A lot of psychological and physical messed up stuff.
Yeah, abuse probably, and.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then you had the reveal that Mare's the one that betrayed Kelsier.
Yeah, officially Allegedly. We got that info, yeah.
We weren't there. We don't know. No, I think there is going to be more to it, actually. That's too straightforward with how Kelsier talks later.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you two have nothing else to say about this chapter, we'll move on to chapter 17.
Okay.
All right, so epigraph. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd remained there, in that lazy village of my birth. I'd have become a smith like my father. Perhaps I'd have a family, sons of my own. Perhaps someone else would have come to carry this terrible burden. Someone who could bear it far better than I. Someone who deserved to be a hero.
This guy's such a whiner.
Oh, don't be so hard on yourself, Lord Ruler. You did the best you could.
Such a whiner? Sheta, have you read many fantasy with like chosen one sort of things? Frodo wasn't the happiest about carrying the ring.
Yeah, but he didn't write a little journal whining about it in his little goth notebook.
Yeah.
Or
it's the diary thing that makes me feel like you're a whiner. Like, dear diary, it was really hard today to carry the ring. Like,
and they're translating, and they're like, "Man, this guy was a little bitch."
Or like Wheel of Time, Rand complained all the time. He really did not like that.
It's not very, I don't know, manly, stoic, heroic.
But it's
I
very
think that's what
common.
A journal is for, though, right? To let out most of your inner feelings.
Frodo didn't do that because he used every bit of his energy to fight the power of the rings.
But also, it's very common in the hero's journey storyline that they refuse the calling at first, and they're very against it. And
but this isn't after he's refused the calling. This is later when he's talking about it.
Sounds like he's already the hero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, this burden of being the hero is so heavy. I'm not worthy.
You think you're being a little hard on this poor guy? All he did was save the world. Sure, he killed all his friends on the way. Did some kind of horrible thing he feels guilty about.
Yeah. Don't feel bad about the stuff you do. Stand by your choices.
No, you should definitely feel bad about some things you do. Especially
if
you genocide a whole group of terroristmen. Yeah, well, that's true.
Mm-hmm. If you're gonna do it, do it.
All right.
Sorry.
All right, so chapter 17 begins. And it begins with Vin having tea with Lord Renew in his cultivated garden. She has spent the last 4 weeks healing in the mansion while being doted upon by servants. And it is driving Vin mad, and she finds it incredibly boring. Renew has hired a new staff for the mansion because Kelsier felt like the other nobles would find it suspicious if they couldn't get some spies onto the staff. Because of this, Vin needs to be Valette Renew all the time. And then Kelsier, Breeze, Yeadon, and Doxson arrive at the mansion, and they have a meeting with Vin, Renew, and Sazed. Kelsier has been having more of these meetings over the past few weeks, and he seems to be more thoughtful. Vin notices that the attack in the palace has changed Kelsier for the better, like Sazed thought. Doxson says that they decided to have the meeting here because Vin and Renew rarely get to participate. Renew tries to say that it isn't necessary, but Vin interrupts and says she wants information and wants to know what is happening with the crew. Doxson explains that recruitment is still too slow. Yeadon says they may need to sacrifice further security for numbers, and Vin also notices that Yeadon has changed. He is more civil now, and he is dressing better. And then Kelsier says that Ham's doing well with the troops, and that he had sent a message saying he is impressed with their progress. Breeze says that Ham tends to be optimistic, and Yeadon says he would like to see the army, and Kelsier responds that he will soon. And Doxson adds in that they should be able to get Marsh into the ministry within a month, and hopefully he can give them some insight with how to deal with the Steel Inquisitors. Breeze says that they are as strong as Mistborn, but Vin says they are stronger than Mistborn. Yeadon wonders how the army can fight them, and Kelsier says that Marsh will find the answer.
I kind of want to watch the Steel Inquisitors fight a whole army now. I'm curious to see how that would be.
Yeah.
Well, the army won't be able to use...
Yeah.
The army won't be able to use swords or anything. They'll have to use sticks.
Call all 20 of them back to the capital when the invasion happens and just watch them solo the entire rebel army.
That's too sad. Just to have all they're trying so hard to recruit people, and every one of the soldiers is someone who decides, I'm going to go against my, instincts and my fears, and I'm going to fight for something I believe in, just to get killed in a half second by a Steel Inquisitor. That's just so sad.
That would be quite an ending.
All right, and then Kelsier turns the conversation to Sazed and what he has learned about the Lord Ruler. Sazed says that the book he has been translating is not a religious text, but is a journal penned by the Lord Ruler himself before the Ascension. It is mostly a record of his trials before his final battle at the Well of Ascension. Breeze asks how that will help, and Sazed answers that it will give them some insight into the Lord Ruler's mind. Kelsier says the ministry thought the book was important because of where Vin found it. Doxson and Breeze both say they want to read the book when Sazed's done with it, and Kelsier says that they can have some of Clubs' apprentices work as scribes and copy it down for them. And during this whole talk with them, Sazed does call Breeze by the name Ladrian. This is the first time anyone has called him any name besides Breeze.
I didn't catch that.
All right, and then they next discuss the nobility. Vin says that she can go back to work, but Sazed doesn't think that she can. Vin says that she is going insane. She grew up as a thief, scrambling for food and space. She cannot just sit around and be pampered. Kelsier mentions that there is a ball tomorrow, and Vin jumps at it, saying that she'll go. Kelsier says that she can, but she cannot use physical allomancy until Sazed says that she can. And then later on that night, or evening, Vin's looking at dresses for the ball, and she thinks if Elend Venture will be there. She eventually chooses a red dress, and Vin wonders what she is becoming. It's not a noble woman, because noble women don't become annoyed when they cannot go stalking at night. She realizes that she is becoming Mistborn. And then Vin looks outside, and Vin sees Kelsier outside, and she goes out there to talk to him. He asks her if the land ever seems wrong to her. Vin answers that's simply how things are, but Kelsier responds that the world shouldn't look like this. He hands Vin an old piece of paper. It has a picture of a flower on it, but Vin has no idea what it is. Kelsier explains that it used to grow on plants before the Ascension, according to old poems and stories that keepers and rebel sages know.
I thought he did such a good job of describing what the flower looks like to someone who's never seen it before.
Yeah, I agree. I was impressed with that as well, because that's hard to do.
Mm-hmm. Like, imagine you only kind of know what trees look like, so it was described really well.
Yeah, and also they have everything to them is just brown and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No greenery, ash falling from the sky, a red sun, just... Kelsier says that the picture used to belong to Mare. Doxson had found it in her things, and he kept it and gave it back to Kelsier when he returned. Mare was fascinated by pre-Ascension times. She was also the one who first introduced him to Sazed, though Kelsier didn't use them in the crew back then because Sazed had no interest in thieving. Vin asks why he keeps the flower picture after what Mare did to him. Kelsier answers he isn't quite sure. You stop loving someone just because they betray you. That's what makes the betrayal hurt so much. Pain, frustration, anger, and he still loves her. If he had a choice between loving Mare, betrayal included, and never knowing her, he'd choose love. And it's the same with his friends. He'd rather trust his men than worry what will happen if they turn on him. Vin says that is foolish, and Kelsier asks her if happiness is foolish. Where has she been happier, with his crew or with Cayman's? Kelsier says he doesn't know for sure that Mare betrayed him. She always claims she didn't. She showed up at the pits a few weeks after Kelsier, so he doesn't know what happened to her in between. But the fact that she was sent there hints that maybe she didn't betray him. When the Lord Ruler captured him, he had thanked Mare with a sense of honesty. It was hard for Kelsier not to believe that Mare betrayed him, but it didn't change his love. And then a year later, he nearly died after she died. The night after her corpse was taken away, Kelsier snapped. And he explains to Vin that snapping is an allomantic term. Their powers are latent and only come out after some traumatic event, something intense, almost deadly. Vin's life had been so hard that there were ample opportunities for her to snap. For Kelsier, it was in the pits. Mare died knowing that Kelsier questioned her loyalty, and he felt like he was responsible for her death. He decided that he'd live to see her dream fulfilled. He'd make a world where flowers grew, there were green plants, and soot no longer fell from the sky. And then Kelsier says that Mare wanted children back when they first married a decade and a half ago, but Kelsier didn't agree with her. He wanted to become the most famous Scott thief ever, and children would get in the way. Now, he sometimes wishes that he had a piece of Mare with him, a child. Kelsier looks at Vin and says he doesn't want to be responsible for something happening to her. He knows she won't stay cooped up, so he tells her to be careful. Says that he's glad she decided to join them. Vin says that she'd kind of like to see one of those flowers one day.
That's so cute. So coincidentally that they were married 16 years ago. If they had a daughter, she would be around Vin's age. What are you going to say, Justin?
Oh, just that it's interesting to learn his main motivations for wanting to go through with this further than anyone else. Because you've got the hatred and revenge, but the desire to bring that world she always wanted to see is that missing piece that explains his conviction so strongly.
Yeah. I thought Vin saying, I'd like to see a flower. I was like, that is such a cute anime-style dream. I like that a lot. Like, we'll make the cherry blossoms bloom, or something,
Yeah. And I like this pretty bluntly confirms that she's a surrogate daughter to him, basically, as I was alluding to earlier.
No comeback to that?
Yeah, why that weird noise, Sheta?
I don't think I should say anything.
Why?
No.
I don't want anyone to come at me.
Come at you with what? Being a creep?
No, I didn't say anything, Justin.
Uh-huh.
Also, that Mare had the same dark hair as Vin does, and stubbornness. So cute.
Mm-hmm. Just like a daughter would have, right? A surrogate daughter.
You could say that, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that, and I did.
All right. Anything else in this chapter you two wanted to go over?
Little sentimental break compared to what a lot of the stuff has been recently. It's interesting to see. This
is almost like a catch up because we haven't had one-on-one with Kelsier and Vin in a bit. So.
True. Wait, no, we just did a couple chapters ago.
Yeah, not where they're fighting shit and trying to fight for their life. Like a little, training, their relationship that goes a little farther and stuff like that, develops a bit.
But now we gotta be worried for Vin. We've got this nice new Kelsier, if, Vin dies, then he's gonna go right back, or if he thinks she did, right back to the violent, reckless one from before. Twice as hard.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the epigraph. You could say that circumstances forced me to leave my home behind, certainly. Leave my home behind. Certainly, if I had stayed, I would now be dead. During those days, running without knowing why, carrying a burden I didn't understand, I assumed I'd lose myself in Klenium and seek a life of indistinction. I'm slowly coming to understand that anonymity, like so many other things, has already been lost to me forever. Alright, so now, Sheta, we've gone through the 3 epigraphs we're doing today. What was your theory that you said you had, and your change in your theory?
Oh, yeah. I just thought now we know, we have clues, context clues about who the Lord Ruler was. So we just need to find out if there was any Smiths in the story, and then whoever son he is the Lord Ruler. So I was like, wait a minute, isn't I forgot his name. Clubs? Doesn't he own a shop? Isn't he a smith? Then I was like, oh my god, his son is Lestabornis. Lestabornis is the Lord
You're
Ruler.
still doing your time travel theory? Is that it, Sheta?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the time travel theory.
Because I was like, this was 1,000 years ago.
Yes, if someone right now is the Lord Ruler, because those passages are not actually from this book, they're from, something weird like that, then that's my theory. Lestabornis is the Lord Ruler.
Why are you so convinced time travel is a part of this?
Because it's too straightforward. I don't know. And they have a lot of elements like that. Time traveling, magic stuff like that. And I don't remember why, but something was said that made it feel like it was from the past. But yeah.
I don't remember. I remember you feeling like it was. I do not remember what your logic was about that, though.
But I didn't have a clue. I think it was when they were traveling in the prologue, or whatever the sentence before the chapters. They had a part where they were like going to do a mission, and I was like, oh my god, that mission is this mission that is about to happen right now.
Well, I'll have to say that would really catch me by surprise, that's for sure.
I'd also like to
trying not to reveal the time travel aspect of this book.
I'd also like to point out that Clubs is a woodworker, not a blacksmith.
Oh no, Sheta. Oh no.
Yeah. I realized that when I was coming up with the theory, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't think it was Smith. I think it was another kind of craftsman. I think I remember them describing the wood smell in the place. So,
well, what's the difference between wood and stone, really, Sheta?
Yeah, maybe there's some small changes in this timeline. I don't know.
Oh God, what?
I'd also like to point out, Justin, that a blacksmith is not a stone worker.
That is true.
Yeah, I was gonna say, being a blacksmith makes more sense because you're working with metals, and
So it's more like
maybe
wood, is what you're saying.
Oh no, I'm finding more anti-Sherlock clues. They turned it into woodworking because now they have metal powers and they can't really have metal weapons, so that's why the timeline has changed.
Yep, you called it, Sheta. You called it.
I'm stupidly proud of this.
Some listener has thrown their earbuds down in disgust and will never listen again.
Oh, that's pretty proud of.
So the current working theory is that originally Clubs was a blacksmith, and then Spook ended up going back, doing a mission, getting sent back in time, defeating the Deepness, becoming the Lord Ruler, and then due to this time travel stuff, it wound up causing a divergence in the timeline, which has switched them from working on steel to wood.
Yes. There was also one more part that I thought was good, because they were going to translate the journal, and who is going to help maybe translate that? Clubs' assistants. And who is among those? Lestabornis he's going to be translating his own diary from the past.
Mm-hmm.
They're not translating.
There.
They're scribing. They're going to be writing down what says it.
Okay, yeah.
It's all there. It's all of it.
And I wonder if it will
I'm not reading anymore because you spoiled the book.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to reveal this theory because I knew that might happen, so I asked. But wouldn't that be a cool twist, though?
No, that would not be a cool twist. There's no setup for it.
I just told you all the setup.
Yeah. I think it's far more likely that 1,000 years ago, a somewhat humble person got embroiled in a big adventure and wound up saving the world and becoming Lord Ruler. I think that's a bit more likely.
Yeah, no offense, Sheta, but your big twist sounds like a lot of the One Piece theories that get posted on Reddit, where people just think, oh, this will be a twist instead of how this logically makes sense.
Don't trust him, Sheta. He's just trying to throw you off how right you are.
Oh, yeah, I don't trust you. You know what's going to happen. You're probably just trying to throw me off the scent. I get it.
Exactly. Double down. Keep finding evidence, Sheta. The truth is out there.
I don't have to find it. It just keeps happening.
Yeah, it just keeps happening.
All right. On to what happens in this chapter. So, Vin arrives at another ball. This time it's at Keep Elariel. And she has practiced with Sazed this past week, so she will have to dance this time. And Sazed notes that Vin seems far less nervous this time. She seems excited, which is the proper attitude for Valette Renew to display. Sazed brings Vin to her table, and she asks how she's supposed to get the information that Kelsier wants. Sazed says that some men should ask her to dance tonight, accept their invitation, and later seek them out and mingle in their groups. She doesn't need to participate in conversations, just listen. At future balls, some of the young men may ask her to accompany them. Those nights she'll sit at their tables and listen to all their discussions, and will only dance with them. And then Elend Venture shows up and drops a stack of books on Vin's table and sits down and begins to read. And she just sits there, waits for him to acknowledge her. But he doesn't. He just keeps on reading. So finally she interrupts him and says that she never gave him permission to sit at her table. He says that there's enough room for both of them. Sazed decides to take the books and stacks them on the ground next to Elend. Elend says that's why he doesn't use Terraspin servants. They're insufferably efficient. Vin says that Sazed is hardly insufferable. He is a good friend and probably a better man than Elend will ever be. And at this point, Elend finally looks up from his book and he apologizes.
Those things that pop out of Vin's mouth. Those things that pop out of Vin's mouth that aren't really are in character. Those seem to really get his attention when she talks more of her own feelings and less of like what you're supposed to say as a noblewoman. Because I imagine he's very sick to death of all those too. And he does seem to have some kind of more unique thoughts about the system they live in and stuff. Because every time he's so taken off guard.
All right, so the two of them, they have a little bit of back and forth bickering about why he is sitting at her table. Eventually, Elend says that Vin's dress is stunning and is almost as beautiful as her, which shocks Vin. Elend smiles mischievously, and Vin feels like he made that comment because he knew what reaction he'd get from her. And Vin asks how an eligible bachelor like Elend comes to balls alone. Elend explains that he doesn't come alone. His family usually has one or two girls lined up to accompany him. Today, he had Lady Stace Blanches accompany him. Elend doesn't know which girls accompany him until he gets into his carriage, so he doesn't spend the night with them. And he even points her out to Vin, and Vin notices that Lady Stace is just glaring up at her. And then Elend leaves to go get a drink. While he's gone, Sazed tells Vin that this isn't good. He explains that Elend isn't romantically interested in Vin. He is a young, arrogant lord who rebels against his father. He knows that his father will relent if he acts spoiled for long enough. After Elend returns, Vin decides not to interrupt him anymore as he reads. And she wonders if he really is as manipulative as Sazed implies. Elend seems so genuine, and she can hear Reen whispering that everyone will betray her.
That was so sad when Sazed treats her kind of like the young girl that she is, like thinking that he might actually like her. Like, oh, child, like he's not really like that. He's just messing with you. I really felt for her because I felt that in my life. Where I'm like, oh, they don't really like me. They're just messing. They're just trying to get attention, or using me to get attention and stuff. It was just very sad.
Yeah, it's always so embarrassing for a character to have that thought when they think they're hot shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wonder because, like I said, some of the things she says really do seem to catch him off guard. So I wonder what his actual.
Oh, I think he actually likes her, but at that moment,
I think it's probably a little of both, honestly.
Well, yeah. I think it began like that, but then he's like, "Whoa, you're actually really cool." That's how it happens in movies and things.
That's not what I said, but yeah, okay.
It is. They're just like, "What? You have real opinions?" And yeah, actually, I have all these opinions that are not like other girls. And then you're like, "Whoa, she's really special, actually."
And then the guy becomes the sucker. You're saying?
Yep, you fell for your own ruse.
Yeah.
I read a lot of young adult novels, romance ones for teenage girls.
All right, so then. Now Elend sets his book down and asks Vin, or Valette, why she came to Luthadel. She says that is the center of everything. Elend says that the final empire is huge. It would take half a year to travel from one side to the other. Yet most people ignore everything that is except this little bit at the center. Elend asks what she thinks of the city. Vin says that it's dirty and full, and that the Ska are treated horribly. And Elend finds this curious. He thinks the Ska would be better treated in the city than out on her plantation. Vin says that she doesn't go into the fields much. And Elend asks if she interacted with the Ska, and she asks why it matters. They're just Ska. Elend says that he's curious.
Funny to watch her try to balance her actual thoughts and feelings that are popping out with, oh yeah, I've got to be a standard noblewoman. And then trying to walk it back over and over. Sounds like it must be really confusing for him to listen to, which is why he keeps inquiring more.
Yep. Elend says that he's curious and that they interest him. He asks Vin if she ever heard them talk to one another. Did they sound like ordinary people? Vin says that of course they did. What else would they sound like? And then Elend asks her to tell him about the plantation Ska. Vin says that they are like Ska everywhere. And Elend asks if they were intelligent, and Vin says that some are. And then Elend asks, but not like you and me, right? Vin thinks about what a noblewoman would respond with. And she says, of course not. They're just Ska. And Elend seems disappointed by this response.
I think we got a damn Ska sympathizer here.
Yeah, that whole section to me really comes off as Elend being just very ignorant of Ska and just very sheltered, not having to deal with them. And also, to probably, maybe Vin's not noticing it, she has a thing for Elend, but probably seems pretty damn rude, being like, oh yeah, these people, can they think?
I don't know, that's not how I work. I mean, I don't know the character, but that's not how I understood it. To me, it was more like he was probing her to see what her thoughts are on the subject, because the standard reaction is that Ska are not even like thing. At least that's how I interpreted it. And so once she kind of was talking about them like they were normal, then that he started, being like, well, what do you think of that? What are they like on your place? What are they like here? Because he's been having some thoughts about the Ska recently and how they're thought of in the Empire. But that's how I interpreted it, at least. And that's why I imagine he got so bored at the end when she was like, whatever. They're not people, He's like, yes, the standard thought process. But I don't know the guy, so I can't say.
It seemed like that. It also seems like the kind of conversation that happens when you are kind of edging towards talking about something openly and you kind of want to know like what someone thinks about it, so because you don't want to say too much.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, but not like us, right?
And also the kind of conversation that a slightly more aware kind of person would have. Like, maybe he doesn't know that much, but he's, curious, that kind of thing. So you'd talk about this with your other smart friends, even though you're probably really not supposed to.
Yeah.
All right, and then Elend points out that some men look like they want to ask Vin to dance. Vin watches those guys, but they wind up going to a different table and asking some other women. And Sazed says that several people have noticed her, but they are likely intimidated by Elend's presence. And Vin watches young men and catches one of their eyes and smiles. And then he approaches. His name is Melend Lease, and he asks her to dance. Vin is nervous that they go out onto the dance floor, but she realizes that, I don't know whether to call him Melend or Lease. We'll just go Lease is as nervous as she is. As they dance, Vin talks to Lease and asks him about Elend. He doesn't know much besides that Elend is far above his station. Vin explains that Elend is a family friend. Her uncle had asked him to watch over her at these parties, but he spends too much time reading the books that he doesn't introduce her to others. She says that he is like an older brother, and that seems to calm down Lease. As they dance, they talk a bit about how graceful Vin is at dancing. Lease says that, Valette isn't at all like Lady Shan said, and then he stops himself from continuing. When Vin prods, he doesn't add more. And so she decides to prod him about other stuff, and Lease says, he talks about how he feels there's rising tension between the other houses. There are more and more absences as people didn't attend parties thrown by their political rivals.
It's After dancing, she seems to really quickly have a knack for what questions to ask and how to get information out of people.
Yeah, she's good at this.
She goes right into it. What's that?
Yeah, she's good at this.
Well, she seems to be good at everything, I'm noticing.
Mm-hmm.
Except trust.
Well, she wasn't good at avoiding being stabbed by an axe.
Yeah, but she was good at surviving it. That's more impressive.
Yeah, she didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say she was actually really good at that.
Yeah, she was really good at it, actually.
All right. So after dancing, Lise leads Vin back to her table and leaves. Vin's table is now completely covered by Elend's books, along with several candelabra taken from other tables. Elend is going over the books and writing notes down in a small pocket-sized book. He says that he had sent Sazed to dinner. Vin tells Elend about her explanation to Lise that Elend is like an older brother. A much older brother. And Elend says that he's only 21. All right.
That's much too old for Vin. I don't like that.
Oh, yeah. But 35 or 40 or whatever is not. Sheta.
I feel like the difference between 16 and 21 is too big.
Yeah.
Like,
and you're also 35 and 15, Sheta?
16.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's too big,
I just think the mindset... I think it's... actually, I'll take it back. It's just the mindset of a 21-year-old is not as good of a match.
Oh, God.
As someone who has a more mature mindset.
Get out.
All right. So next, Vin asks Elend if he knows a lady Shan. Elend looks up surprisingly and asks, Shan Elariel? Vin asks who she is, and Elend says nobody important. Vin says he's lying, and Elend relents and says that he might be engaged to her. He's not sure because they haven't done anything about the situation over a year, so everyone's likely forgotten the matter by now. So Elend's betrothed.
I can't believe it.
Really? 21-year-old guy being betrothed makes sense in this kind of time period.
Yeah, I guess so. But he came with another girl, too, so...
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it. That makes me wonder, like, what the heck's going on? These freaking nobles.
Sure, his parents are just desperate to get him to hook up or be married with any other house, you know.
Right. And then later in the night, Vince, sits back down at her table exhausted after dancing with a few different men. Elend isn't there, so Vin looks over his books and decides to read, so that way no more men will come to ask her to dance. She reads one book called Historical Practices in Imperial Political Rule. It is an analytical discussion of the Empire, and Vin is surprised the Lord Ruler allows such books.
Yes, so was I.
And then a terrace man comes over and tells Vin that Lady Shan Elariel requires her presence. Vin goes along with him to Shan's table, which also has 4 other women. Shan excuses the other women and tells Vin that she needs to address her as Lady Shan or your ladyship. She says that Vin is in an enviable position. Elend has decided to use her in his games, and that means that she now has the opportunity to be used by Shan as well. Even uncultured simpletons such as Valette must see the importance of being useful to their betters.
I thought for a second, girl love interest, maybe? And then I was like, no, it's mean girls. Like, oh, maybe we don't really know what Vin likes yet, so...
Yeah, it's not too late, Sheta.
I mean, maybe. Like, in these kind of circles, when there's a bunch of, like, mean girls, there might be some, like, abuse and manipulation going on, so maybe Vin will be forced to... He even says it.
You want to just go write a whole nother book, Sheta? Because you're writing like 30 other books every time you make those comments.
I'm not. It's on here. They introduced this.
Not. You keep seeing all these plot lines that do not exist.
You don't think it's real?
Which part?
You don't think it's possible?
That they're going to be love interests? No.
No, that she's going to be like abusive and kind of creepy to Vin. In a Mean Girls kind of situation.
Isn't that exactly what's happening?
Yes. But
I thought you were saying you were...
Maybe her plan will also backfire on her, just like, her plan to use Vin. She'll fall in love with Vin too.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's even a ghost of a chance of that.
Okay.
I'll take the time travel one before that with this personality.
Well, yeah, that's just what I thought before we really knew more about the character. That's all.
Yeah.
All of that rushed in my head until she started to reveal more of her character.
And what is it like to be you reading a book? I can't even imagine.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it must be like, oh my god, I can't believe that he's from the past.
Yeah, why do you think I like reading books so much? It's always fun.
To be fair, Justin, most time when she's reading a book, she'll just be able to go on to the next chapter and not have to read 3 chapters, pause, and have to think about everything and overanalyze it.
May have.
Mm-hmm. See, this is what happens when I have to wait a week to talk about it and continue. I go kind of crazy.
Apparently so.
I've never read a book like this before. I usually just like binge read it. So this is really strange for me. Okay?
Okay. I'll keep that in mind going forward.
So Shan's talking to Vin, and Shan says that if Vin does well, then she could join Shan's retinue. She insults Vin's appearance and says that noble women in Luthadel require perfection, not that. Vin asks what Shan wants, and Shan says that she'll tell her eventually, assuming Elend decides to keep playing with her. For now, she just needs to tell Shan about her conversation with him. And Vin notices at this point that Shan is soothing her. Vin also sees that Shan's terraceman is going through Elend's books. She can't let him find what he's looking for and quickly excuses herself from Shan's table. And then Shan's terraceman leaves Vin's table as she walks towards it. Vin looks over the books, wondering what he was looking for. She finds a small book called Weather Patterns of the Northern Dominance. She reads some of it and talks about how the Empire has had a number of colossal leadership errors. Most have been covered up and can only be found in the metal mines of ferrochemists or on the pages of banned books. Since the Empire now has a single immortal governor, society would finally have an opportunity to find stability and enlightenment. The fact that there is lack of either is a Lord Ruler's most grievous oversight.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus, this is some banned heretical stuff right here. Who is this guy?
I can't believe he's just reading that at the party, too.
That too.
It's like,
and that he left them unattended. It shows how he must not think much of the people here, you know. He must think they're all too stupid to follow any of this stuff or to even think to look into this stuff.
Yeah, but they were looking at it, you know.
Yeah, that's the scary part.
How much trouble could he... How much... I mean, I thought it might be because his house is pretty high, but it wasn't high enough for the Lord Ruler to show up at their party, so they're not
I don't think any house is higher than a section of God, you know?
Yeah.
And it clearly has to be a banned book with the fact that the book is Weather Patterns of the Northern Dominance.
Oh, yeah, it's a fake
sounds
title.
Like an incredibly boring book that nobody would ever want to read.
I see. I wonder if he's part of some kind of underground noble resistance group. I could see that.
I don't know.
Like, full of young people that are kind of sick of the system. They think the parties are boring and they kind of want to know stuff, but they're actually very ignorant about it. So
that's the thing too, right there, Sheta. If they are kind of just, how a lot of richer people get, where they start to have all these thoughts and feelings, but they're actually quite ignorant of things, and if push came to shove, they wouldn't do it. Or if him and maybe those other guys later, you know, have something a little more formal and are more like our protagonist. I really wonder, because either way could be really interesting, because either she'd think he's one of them, but it turned out he isn't when the chips are down, or he is like them, which Kelsier, I think, would have a lot of trouble with because he hates nobles so much. So I'm very curious how that's all going to go and be resolved.
It's going to be so cute when she's like, Dad, this is my boyfriend. He's a noble. It's like, no girl of mine's dating a noble.
It could be as simple, too, as he's part of a noble class that's trying to overthrow the Lord Ruler so they can take power, and he isn't any better, you know? That also could be interesting.
I want to say a part when Vin is with Shand, and Shand is like, sit, you know, and Vin's like, man, I feel like a ska again. Do nobles treat each other like this too? Like,
that was an interesting part.
And I was like, Vin is a noble, but she's not as high as this lady is, you know, which means she's being treated like that. And I was like, man, the hierarchy of all of this is so, like, it's such a big part of the society. And I was like, I kind of saw what it was like, because they said it before too, with the noblemen, they still kind of had to be under the obligators and stuff too, like obligators are above noblemen and stuff like that. And I was like, this feels a lot like some work environments, where like you really know who's above what's and who's above who and stuff like that. And like they really want to push that on you to get what they want out of you. Like everyone feels so proud of their tiny station that they're at, And if you'll let
that's
me.
why those types of people are so unlikable in high society,
Yeah. It just reminded me of at work when we have a list of everyone who works there, and it doesn't say officially, but it's kind of like whoever is at a higher position is at the top of the list. Like the store manager would be at the top, and then assistant one. And so I remember when I was the second on the list, and some of the other managers were like, "What? Why is she second and stuff? She's newer than me." And I felt kind of like, "Oh, nice. That's because they're trying to train me to be assistant store manager." And I was feeling pretty good about myself, like I was second best. And then I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm not even giving a raise for that. It's just a title."
Yeah.
And it just meant I was gonna have to do extra shit for them for free. And I was like, okay, I don't want that. That's not for me. And I was like, that's for people like Dwight who likes the title of assistant to the like what is it? Assistant to the district manager.
Yeah. To the regional manager.
Dwight types value the position and power more than the pay and like what it actually means. So like just what you were saying.
I think that's the difference here and why nobles are so unlikable, because they're not taking higher responsibilities. They're just getting higher benefits and looking down on the people below them. The people below them are still doing so much more. They're just born better, in their minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
When she just assumes that Vin is a simpleton and that she should call her that, and nobody would ever argue with that. Of course they wouldn't. It's like, Jesus, fuck this lady.
All right, so back to Vin. She's shocked at the book and hides it on the table again. She worries what would happen if an obligator found Elend with this book. Elend returns and shocks Vin. She asks him why he's so intent on avoiding duty. He says that these balls are just fluff and a distraction. Vin asks if women are waste, and Elend says they're like thunderstorms, beautiful to look at and sometimes nice to listen to. Most of the time, they are downright inconvenient. Vin sees in his eyes that he's only saying this to provoke her, and she grows a little bit of a smile. Then Elend leaves with his books. Vin watches him. He meets with two other men, and they take some of the book. Sazed returns, and Vin asks who those men are. Sazed says that they are Jas Teasley Cal and a Hastings. This shocks Sazed because they are rivals to House Venture. And noblemen often visit each other in smaller after-parties and make alliances. Kelsier will want to hear of this. And then Sazed and Vin leave the ball. All right, and then as they're waiting for their carriage outside, Vin notices a small disturbance taking place in the mist. A guard walks out of the mist with a small, struggling ska boy. The soldier gives the nobles a wide berth. Vin burns copper and tin to listen in on the soldier talking to the guard captain. The boy was a kitchen boy and tried to beg from some noblemen in their carriage as they waited for the gate to open. The soldier takes the boy back into the mist with annoyance. In a courtyard, he pulls out a dagger and slices the boy's throat. The guard drops the dead boy, then drags him away by his leg. Vin is shocked. They killed him mere paces away from where the noblemen are waiting for their carriages. Just another ska slaughtered like an animal. Actually, more like less than an animal. Nobody would slaughter a pig in a keep courtyard. If any of the other nobility noticed, they paid it no heed. They just kept on chatting. Vin is distracted by the pleasant nobility dancing inside a room and a death out in the courtyard. Vin reminds herself not to forget the ash just because she saw the silk. If these people knew she was a ska, they'd have her slaughtered as easily as that boy. And that's the end of the chapter.
That was a very sudden and interesting turn at the last second there. They're like, oh, she's starting to like these people a little too much. Don't forget, these are the bad
guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was a way to both remind Vin and also to remind the reader that, yeah, keep in mind, the ska, they're not, it's not just, they're ska. It's, they will just kill you when they feel like killing you. Mm-hmm. No one will think twice of it.
I gasped audibly when that happened. It was the way he wrote it was so sudden.
Yeah, they're dragging the boy out. You're wondering, is she going to do something? Is she going to try to break her cover?
Oh, and yeah, she was going to go help, but Sazed stops her. Yeah.
Yeah, before she even has a chance to run through all of it, they've slit his throat because that's how little they cared to consider it, you know?
That shows, like, that is just the reaction. Like, that's just what you do. Like, there's no
a standard
considering
thing.
or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not people, so who cares, you know?
It's like smacking a mosquito that bites you.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
The
that's
thing
just
about
the
you wouldn't
reaction.
even slaughter a pig there is really interesting, too, you know? Because a pig can't annoy you like a human can, you know?
Yep, it's just, to them, Ska, if a Ska annoys you, you can just kill him. Nobody will think twice. If a Ska looks pretty, you can take them and rape them and then kill them, and no one will think twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's creepy. It's weird that they think they're pretty. That means they, in some form, think that they're attractive like a human would, you know? Or that they know
Well,
that they are human, you
that's
know?
how it really is in any culture that has slaves, too, you know? They'll take them if
That's
they
true.
You
find
playing
them
with
attractive.
slime?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Right, go back to what you were saying then.
I don't know. I lost
You
my
said
train
it's
of thought.
true. You said it's true in other cultures and stuff too.
Oh, no. In any culture that has slaves, you know, for all of human history, you know, that's always been a big element of it. That power you hold over them, you know, it does something weird to people. And the justification they have, I can do whatever I want. Why not do this, you know?
I never understood that when I was learning about that. I was
Which
like,
part?
what about that aspect of it? I was like, so they treat the slaves like this, like really mean, really like animals, but then they would still like rape them and stuff. I was like, that never made sense to me, but it's what you said.
I imagine there has to be something somewhat exhilarating about having that power over another human life, you know, that kind of would bring out some of the absolute darkest aspects of a human, you know. And
Yeah,
again,
and I guess you're
who's
already
going to
like,
stop you, you know?
yeah, you're already thinking like
If you
that.
have that feeling, you know? Yeah. If there's nothing morally wrong about it, what's the point in resisting those thoughts and urges? Because it's interesting that the guy who had the plantation, when the guy came, you know, the guy who comes in and checks on things, you know, that he was worried for a second, like, oh God, am I going to get in trouble for this? Like, and they're like, oh no, as long as you clean up, it's very, you know.
Yeah, and I think that some of them, like you were saying, with the exhilaration and stuff, well, I not doubt that a lot of them get the exhilaration, not just from the sex, but the fact they know that this person will not be alive in a couple days.
Yeah, the fact that they can do whatever
ugh.
they want, even if you're just going to like, even just the fact that I could kill you anytime I want, you know, that's something that I imagine a lot of people would find very, like, they'd feel quite powerful and like, God, like, I could kill you. No one would care. No one in the world, you know. I wonder how many of the nobles give into those kinds of thoughts and how many of them just kind of ignore the whole situation because they find it distasteful.
And I think it's funny that it really is just those two, one or the other. You're either
Well,
one or
yeah, I
you're the
mean,
other.
if you allow yourself to think about any bad feelings about that stuff too much, I mean, you know where it leads. You're going to be killed yourself, you know? So it's a whole system where you're incentivized to really just turn off your brain as much as possible. Because they say, you know, the chatter picked up after the screams, you know? So people
Yeah,
know it's happening and they have these weird ways they react to it, you know? Because what are
I've
you
seen
going to
that
do? Yell out
actually.
and say, no, that's not your ska, you know?
Yeah, people kind of like need to process that kind of stuff in that way. Like I've seen that happen in like when there's like a disturbance in public, maybe like there's a guy shouting loud at an employee or something, and then after he leaves, people kind of like talk loudly or laugh about it or something so that they're not scared. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, that they talk loudly, not about it. Like a lot of times people will just ignore it, I think. You
Yeah,
know?
they just continue loudly.
All right, this was a longer chapter. Anything else you two wanted to go over in during this ball?
I'm really excited to see where it goes, though. I really want to know more about Evan Venture and his underground rebellion. And I want Vin to join it. I think that would be fun. Vin's gonna have to
You want
join
her to
it.
join you want her to join two rebellions?
Yeah, he's gonna have to figure out like, okay, what are they doing, and is it gonna fuck with what we're trying to do too? Like that might be, that might be a problem.
But would Vin be allowed? Because you're looking at, a Venture, a Lecal, a Hastings, and those are all like some of the top great houses. And Vin is Renew, so she's a pretty low house.
If they are doing that, I doubt that they are caring about house, like ranks and stuff like that. If they're trying to do a rebellion, oh, you mean like, could she be seen with them? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it could cause other people start taking notice, wondering why you're having a meeting with these great houses and then randomly one low person.
Well, that's where Lady Shan comes in. Vin has now been a part of Lady Shan's retinue or whatever club, so that'll make her status go up a little bit, I think.
Would Lady Shan allow her in her retinue? Their first meeting didn't seem to go well.
I think she will when she sees how much Elend wants her in the club. She'll see this, so she'll see Vin as her ticket in and think that she can send her to spy on him.
All right, I think that'll be it for the chapter, unless either of you want to say anything else.
I got nothing.
All right, now let's see if there were any other theory. All right, so do you guys think that Mare betrayed Kelsier?
I think there's going to be more to it. I don't think it's going to be that simple because they've been so tight-lipped about this whole thing. I feel like there has to be some element we don't know yet.
I think for the theories I'm playing with is that we know there is memory manipulation happening, so it could be that that happened to her, and so
I do want to step in and say, Sheta, we do not know there is memory manipulation happening. But yes, from your earlier theory, if that turns out to be true, if that does, then yes, I think there could be something to that. I just want to say that quick.
All right. Do you want me to stop saying my theories as if they were facts to me, Justin?
Huh?
Do you want me to stop saying my theories as if they're facts to me?
Well, no, I think you just forgot that was not established yet.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's okay as long as you point that out to the listeners. Like, no, remember that's not a thing. That's just something she said. That's fine.
Yeah, because that's like part of the reason why I stopped listening to Song of Ice and Fire theories. I tried to read some of them. Eventually, I'm reading one. It's like, well, now because we know this fact and this fact and this fact. I'm like, no, we don't. Those are all theories. Now you're basing this theory on these other 4 theories. If one of those other 4 fell, this new theory is just completely useless. You can't start stating all these other things as if they are complete fact. That's why I stopped listening to Song of Ice and Fire theories. They started going to real batshit crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Bolt On is 100% true.
That I agree with.
My theory on the memory manipulation is that would explain the 2 things that are the problem with that. So,
yeah, I don't think it's a bad theory at all, Sheta.
Okay.
I just think it has not been outright said that's what's happening in any way whatsoever.
I thought the idea of her dying, thinking that Kelsier thought she betrayed him was the saddest thing ever.
Yeah, but it'd be just as sad to die thinking that he didn't think that if she did, you know?
Well, if she did, then I don't care about her. Like,
I see.
Yeah, then you have to live with what you decide to do with your life. But if you didn't, I would just, I would feel so sad about it.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll go to Elend. So, is Elend just simply using Vin to rebel against his father and has no interest in her? Or does he have interest in her?
Well, yeah, I think he began in that way. New girl comes into town, you want to kind of mess with her a bit and see what
remember, he didn't seek her out. She just walked up there to him,
Yeah, but she knew who he was, or he knew who she was, so.
Yeah. I'm saying he didn't seek her out. That's all I'm saying.
We don't know that either, though. Maybe he knew where she was going, and then he it's his house. He probably did a shortcut and waited up there for her.
I see.
Mm-hmm. It might even be part of the rebellion. Okay, I'm doing it again, but the underground nobility rebellion to see what her deal is and stuff. And maybe that was his job to go figure it out.
Mm-hmm. I've got a new theory about him now because he left out those absolutely sacrilegious books. I wonder if he's trying to trap her. If somebody has suspicions about her and they're trying to prove it by getting her to open up about her feelings on ska and leave out these obviously heretical books, kind of like a 1984 situation.
Yeah, I thought that too, actually. Like, just scatter these about. Just write your notes about it out in public.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
just so conveniently.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also send your terracemen away so that you're just alone.
Now, I don't know that I believe that, but it's a thought I've had.
God, if this is a 1984 thing, I hope we don't get the rat cage thing. That was the worst part of that book.
I'm sure in this book we'll get something even worse from what I hear about how they treat stuff here.
Oh, yeah.
I guess going with that whole ending thing. So, well, the nobles find out that Vin is actually a ska.
Oh, 100% eventually. At least Lady Shan will.
Whoa, why do you say that?
Because that would be the worst person to find out.
Yeah, would. Or I want to have Elend find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they get far with their plan, like far enough with their plan, then they'll find out. But if they did before, that would be really bad.
Any other theories or thoughts or anything you two wanted to give that you've come up with?
Vin's dad's gonna end up being a big player in the underground noble rebellion.
Oh, no way in hell.
Yeah,
Sheta.
and then
He's going to straight up be a villain, no question.
No, he'll be villain because then him and Kelsier will have to fight over Vin, and Vin will have two dads.
Not in a million years will that happen. I can't even humor that one.
He loved a ska lady woman. You know?
He didn't. He found out she was a ska woman later on. Wasn't that it?
Yeah. Yeah, and then he disowned her, so maybe not.
Yeah, he's for sure going to be a bad guy.
But, we don't know the story, though.
No, we do not.
Maybe she just got scared and ran off before, thinking that maybe he would hate that or something.
Thought he killed her.
No. They just ran away.
Oh, was that it?
I think so, yeah. I think she just took the kids and ran away.
So we do know that Vin... Alright, so what we know about Vin's mother... Rena told her that their mother was a whore, not by choice. Vin thinks about how her mother had tried to kill her when she was very young. And that Vin says that her father is a high preland, so he's an obligator. Alright, Vin's mother was a ska who managed to hide the fact... Oh, wait, no, that's Kelsier's mom. Yeah, so that's what we know about Vin's mom, is that she was a whore, not by choice, and that she had tried to kill Vin when Vin was very young.
I see. So I was confusing that with Kelsier's mother, right?
Yeah, Kelsier's mom was a woman that had been able to trick their father, and he thought she was just like a lower noble and became his mistress. Then when he found out she was a ska, he had her killed. That was Kelsier and Marsh's mother.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of. So, Vin's father could have just...
You don't need to try to fix a theory after, Shana.
Oh, I wasn't trying to. I was just thinking if it could work again.
No, I can't even humor that one. I'm sorry, Sheta.
Okay. Just throwing it out there. Not everything's gonna be a hit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, I guess we'll just go and move on to the characters and quotes of the week. All right, so we'll start off with the characters. If you guys want to say your picks,
you start, Sheta.
I think I liked Elend Venture, just for the way he was described when he showed up at the party, and I just imagine what it was like to be Vin and having him drop his books right next to you and sit down like the boy you like is the one, he just was right next to you. That's exactly how it would be in a young adult novel for young girls.
Trying to say this is a novel for young girls, Sheta?
These parts are. For Vin is the exact age. You're like, oh my gosh, I wonder if he's going to be at the ball. And then it's like, oh, okay, he's not here. It's too bad. And then you're like, whoa, he shows up and he doesn't even notice you. except he does. He actually really likes you.
Yeah.
And then his actions are messing up your plan to get information in order to overthrow God.
Yep.
A lot of those books have a dystopian element to them, right, Sheta?
Actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do. They have a weird element, I would say. But this is comparable. Pseudo-political stuff, too. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Children getting their throats slit, of course.
Well, the Twilight books are surprisingly violent sometimes. So
they're not that violent.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked the way he was described too, kind of all disheveled, but handsomely disheveled.
I don't remember the word handsome being used, Sheta.
I said that his clothes were tailored to be loose and relaxed and stuff.
That I do recall.
Specifically, had his stuff designed to look like that,
Yeah.
So.
He's not just a slob.
Mm-hmm. So he's like a rock star, like I said.
Well, my favorite's going to be the exact opposite. My favorite was Lady Sham this time. Because I really liked with what absolute disparity and contempt she treated Vin. And I think it's really funny to have that guy, if he is more open-minded and stuff like that, be betrothed to the absolute worst example of what the nobility is like in this world, I would assume. And like you said, Sheta, kind of the leader of a Mean Girls type group.
The Regina George.
And the fact that she's just got the power, which one is it? The one where you convince the
soothing.
Oh, the soothing power, yeah. That's true.
I think that's really, really interesting and really, really horrible for a person like that to have because they already use everyone around them.
Wow. Yep. Imagine Regina with that power.
She didn't do much here, but I have a feeling she's going to be a very, very, very unlikable character going forward.
Yeah, but I guess my character will be more basic. I'm going with Kelsier. I just enjoyed his speeches with Ben, and him changing as a person and stuff, and talking about, Mare and loving her and everything despite the betrayal.
Yeah, that is nice. You do learn. Vin does get to learn a lot about why Kelsier is the way he is, why he's so trusting and why he's so nice to Vin and stuff.
All right, so we'll go on to quotes. If either of you two are ready.
Well, my two quotes I picked, you kind of said in the recaps, so I'll just change it to a part.
No, don't do that, because my one quote I picked was also said in the recap.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Well, mine's just a tiny part.
My quote was the one talking about how the Ska are seen by the noble people, and you almost said that one verbatim, so mine's lost.
Me? I said that?
No, Joe did.
Oh, okay.
Why would you say it?
Oh, no. You were telling me to stop, because I might take your quote.
No, I was saying stop about changing to a new quote if you already lost two, because they were said in the recap.
It's okay. I wanted to say this part because it wasn't really brought up, so...
Yeah.
Okay. It's just been going to the ball for the second time and being all excited and excited about wearing her dress too, the one that she specifically chose to look kind of more hot. And then she gets there and the other girls' dresses are way more fancier than hers, and her stuff is she thought she was being too extra, but then when she got there they were even more. And then she saw that they were wearing heels, and then she's like, why don't I have shoes like that? And it was the cutest thing ever. She just was such a young girl at that point. And then Sazed's like, yeah, heels are gonna take a while to get used to walking in. After that, I imagined a scene where Sazed teaches Vin to walk in heels, and Sazed has heels on.
What the hell? No.
He's like, walk, shay. You just see him with his, I imagine they're keeper robes, but he just has it pulled up, so you just see his legs with heels on. Okay, yeah, that's the part I liked.
No. What's the quote, Sheta?
The quote has just been saying, why don't I have shoes like that? It was just so, she just like had to say that right when she saw them. Like I want that. Like those look pretty, you know, like a girl would be before being old enough to wear heels and stuff like that. So sorry if I confused you.
Yeah, those kind of parts are really interesting.
Like you're not old
I'm
enough.
sure she's been trained her whole life not to think that way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see as she steps into that world, the parts that do kind of interest her a little bit, and then the parts that she's not even remotely interested in as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess that is a little link to the part that I also liked with her picking out her outfit and feeling like and thinking like I've never done this before. Like what am I even doing? Like but being
all
like
of those
okay,
parts were go on.
being or trying to figure out what dress she liked, but also trying to figure out what dress she wanted them to how she wanted people to perceive her is such a also a young girl thing to do too, to be like, you know, expressing yourself through fashion and stuff like that. I thought that it's kind of
All
interesting
of those,
all happening at once.
yeah, all of those parts were interesting because she's, you know, you're seeing her start to kind of like this stuff a little bit, kind of like being this this fake noble she's being, appreciating the beauty of the ball and all the people and the nice stuff. And all of that is just there to set up the kid getting his throat slit at the end, you know. That's all just to have her think, Jesus Christ. I get so lost in this. I can't even forget. I cannot forget what these people, why we want to fuck these people over so bad.
Yeah, she's getting lost in the superficial elements and the shininess of it all.
Yeah.
It's probably good she saw that because she's about to enter into the Mean Girls world, but she's going to be even more of that, you know.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're going to give
like
her
she's that interested in that world, you know.
Well, she might have started to be, you know.
Maybe.
Sometimes, like, that's what happened in Mean Girls, you know. Like, you get sucked into that. It's like its own little ecosystem, its own little rules.
Yeah,
and you have
but
to...
when you have the nobility aspect to it, it's not going to be like in the movie because you can never rise above no matter what you do, you know.
Well,
like
Vin
you'd say
also...
that she can be part of the club, but she's never going to be part of the club for real, you know.
Well, Vin doesn't need to really worry about being part of the club. She just needs to get information. She's just sitting with them and here's some gossip of them talking. That's all that matters. She doesn't need to be friends with them.
I'm commenting on what Sheta's talking about getting into those clubs and stuff, you know. She's never going to get in like you're saying. Is what I'm saying.
All right, Justin, did you have a quote?
Yeah, I did. And you said it almost verbatim, so I do not have a quote.
Well, you could read it again.
No, you literally pretty much said the whole thing verbatim. But the idea is really interesting to me, the way it's described about just how she thinks about these people after spending time around them. And having it be a little boy specifically, like instead of an older ska, it's just the most horrible thing you could ever imagine. And having him begging after we've seen from Kelsier's chapter just how hungry and destitute a lot of them are, you know? And specifically the part about being treated like less than an animal just because, what was that train of thought? It's because in some ways it's less than an animal. In some ways it's maybe not less, but worse. Because when they said you wouldn't slaughter a pig out here, you wouldn't do that because you don't think of it as alive. It's not a thing, you know. But a human is alive, so when he's fighting you and annoying you, it'll piss you off in a way that's different than how an animal would piss you off. So he just slits his throat quick so he doesn't have to deal with them, and so they can just throw him away out there. And it's really telling that that's something that's normal enough that he thinks, oh, we'll just do that. Because that means that this area of where the nobles are, at least, that's a common enough thing that it doesn't really bother anyone that much. They don't even think about it. Even if it bothers them on a deeper level, it's just normal enough that they don't think about it. And I thought that was pretty much the most in-your-face way he could possibly illustrate that to us, too.
Yes, I'll go to my quote, just with Vin and Elend talking to each other. Starting with Vin talking. I think my cleverness did its job well, she said instead. After all, I came to the ball to dance. I find dancing overrated. You can't remain aloof from the court forever, Lord Venture. You're the heir of a very important house. I suppose you're right, but the longer I hold out, the more annoyed my father will become. That in itself is a worthy goal. He's not the only one you hurt. What of the girls that never get asked to dance because you're too busy rummaging through your books? As I recall, someone was just pretending to read in order to avoid dancing. I don't think the ladies have any trouble finding more amicable partners than me. I didn't have trouble because I'm new and I'm low ranked. I suspect the ladies closer to your station have trouble finding partners, amicable or not. As I understand, noblemen are uncomfortable dancing with women above their station. Elend hesitated, clearly searching for a comeback. What is it, Elend Venture? Why are you so intent on avoiding your duty? Duty? Villette, this isn't duty. This is fluff and distraction, a waste of time. And women? Are they a waste too? Women? Yeah, I pretty much said this whole section.
The woman part, yeah.
But I'll skip. All right. You say these things just to provoke me. I'm charming that way. Villette, don't let them trick you into taking yourself too seriously. It's not worth the effort. Just overall, I like the part where he's just talking about how, it's not really important. How everything's just, like you said, fluff and distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their whole talk about the dances and how it's not that big and stuff. It's, pretty straightforward.
Makes you wonder what's not fluff and distraction to him, what he actually does care about, if anything.
Maybe he's like King Ide in the last book, and he and his friends have their own sacrificial cult.
Yep, they have their own way to have.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, go to the real party, guys.
Well, that's the thing, these like smarty farty type people who think they're so much better than the people in charge, you never know. That does not mean they're good people. They could be worse than anybody.
Oh,
like, they don't know
not.
the path to true power. Sacrificing people is the path to true power. Like that.
Yeah, I really hope not. That would be so sad if he turned out to be like a psycho cult leader type.
They're kidnapping and sacrificing Ska in order to raise a different god to fight the Lord Ruler.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't have to kidnap them. They'll just take them.
Assuming
they're
that just
rich guys.
Yeah. Assuming that just because he's reading those banned books that are critical of the ruler does not mean he is a good guy on their side.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That makes me really sad. I hope it's not true.
I hope it is. That'd be so interesting.
Well, it'd be interesting. Because then I'm like, well, Vin's not dating that guy.
Or she does, and we get like a whole, dating the enemy situation.
Yeah, that's interesting too.
I've read your texts, and they bring up a lot of good points.
No. Like, Kelsier, this is the only way. We have to rise the other Lord Ruler.
We have to raise the deep. We have to bring it back. It's the only way. And we must sacrifice the exact number of ska we've raised for the army to do it. Then it's like a BioWare morality choice you got to make there.
Oh, yeah. Sacrifice the ska and like have a higher % of chance to fight the Lord Ruler, or just try fighting like this.
Next week's chapters that we'll be reading. So, just like this week, just 3 chapters. 19, 20, 21. All right. Now, at this point, anything else you wanted to talk about the book so far, or anything like that before we go into our plugs?
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good too.
All right. So now it's plugging time. So start plugging away.
Plug, 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 plug.
No.
Beat that, Sheta.
Plug. There you go. Try to do that.
Sheta, how will they even know what you're plugging with that?
I just have one thing, like Prince or Rihanna. They'll know who I'm talking about.
What? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Wait, what about Rihanna?
Yeah. Or Beyonce, or I just have one name.
You didn't say a name.
I did. I said plug.
You said plug. Plug's your new. You're the artist formerly known as Sheta now.
Mm-hmm. It's just going to be a symbol, which won't work for the podcast. So
no, it won't.
All right, the same as usual. Instagram is Sheta_low for art, and Mermaid Machete for clothes, cosplay, and fashion. Austin, on to you.
I was pretty satisfied with my plug, but I suppose I'll say, if you want to see what I'm up to, and I'm not reviewing these books, you can follow me at Profanity Beaver at most social media places, and you will see various things. that hopefully will be so interesting to you that you will never ever leave.
Wow.
All right.
That's all we hope for.
And then I guess
To have something so interesting you'd never leave it. That's all you
Yeah.
hope for.
That's all I
That's a
ever
little
want.
high. That's all you've
Yeah.
ever want. You should try heroin.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Well,
but I might try your art, though, Justin.
It's better than heroin. You can quote Sheta on that.
I did not say those words, Justin.
Sheta said those exact words.
That's your new tagline, better than heroin.
Sheta says, following Profanity Beaver will cure your heroin addiction or her money back.
All right. Overall, our Cosmere shit. Well, you can follow us on Key, a most ancient letter, formerly known as Twitter. At CosmereChron, at CosmereChron, just to get updates as to when the newest episode has been uploaded. Granted, it's usually set for around the same time every week.
When do we upload?
Sunday mornings.
Sunday mornings? Okay.
Yep. And then if you want to contact us directly, you could leave comments on YouTube videos on our YouTube, Cosmere Chronicles, on the YouTube.
On the YouTube or a YouTube?
The YouTube.
Okay, the YouTube.
Yes, don't be confused with the other YouTubes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then you can email us if you want, CosmereChronicles@gmail.com. You can say some stuff. I'll try to read them on the podcast, unless you tell me not to read it out loud. And then, do the usual stuff that every podcast asks you to do. Leave us reviews on all the different podcasting platforms. Do we have anything new?
Have we gotten any messages that someone's told you not to tell us, Joe?
No.
Don't tell them, but I hate them.
I'm sure they would want us to know. This podcast is great, but I hate all the people involved.
Yeah.
I've had that. It's like, just less Sheta. That's better. That would be better.
No, less everybody. If this was just dead air, it'd be a much better podcast.
Ouch. That's mean.
All right, so that's all our plugs and stuff. So, but everyone, join us next week for the next bunch of chapters and stuff. And stuff. So, next week will be the episode where we personally will be doing it in the nude. It's a audio, so nobody will know. That. Yeah, just trust us.
Mm-hmm.
We do that? Is that legal?
Oh, wait, were we not doing that this whole time? Is that what you're saying?
Wait, yeah. Did you just ask if it was legal?
Yeah.
Wait, did you, Sheta?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
it legal
no
to
one
be
would
naked
know
on an audio podcast?
Yeah, but
you do know porn exists,
say like we're
right,
naked
Sheta?
right now. Yeah, but what if are we not family friendly? Like I thought.
Are you asking? Does that violate guidelines on an app? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Sheta?
Are we gonna get demonetized from this?
Demonetized. Wait.
That,
Where's this monetized? I want some of this. What have you been holding out on me, Sheta?
I'm getting my check every month. What are you talking about?
What the?
All right, now Sheta, you're asking if we're allowed to say that.
Yeah.
Have you listened to what we're talking about and how we ourselves speak?
Sheta, a child just got his throat slit.
Yeah, but that didn't you watch the South Park episode?
Yeah, you're right.
Violence is fine. Violence is not as bad. Doesn't make something rated R.
Yeah, well, it does make it rated R, Sheta, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
All right, well, that's it for this week, everyone. Go out there and have fun.
Fun in the sun.
Fun in a storm, because that's what we're having this week. Hey, bye.